Okay. So here we go. I don't know if you came down McPhillips today. I don't know if you saw that big accident on McPhillips and close to that dealership. It's closer to, is it the Wendy's there? There's a Wendy's on McPhillips. I don't know the street as well. But this one, the whole top of the car was just sliced off. Yeah, you could see this. Even the seats, the headrest was like. So I don't know if the car went under a semi. I don't know. I don't think anybody died because usually they tape off the whole thing. They close the whole thing. But man, that looks scary. Okay. Why am I talking about that? Because it has to do with insurance, right? 76. 76. So insurance is, we don't calculate insurance. We do calculate it with home finance, not with this. Do you know you can go online and find out the insurance premium for any car that you're planning on buying? I will show you that later on. So it actually, we don't calculate that, but we do talk about what affects your insurance premium, okay? So if you live in Manitoba and own a vehicle, you need vehicle insurance. The Manitoba Public Insurance Corporation, right, provides basic automobile insurance for all Manitobans. It's called AutoPack, right? The program specifically for cars is AutoPack. MPI is a non-for-profit crown corporation. I don't know if you've ever heard them paying back, sending checks back to car owners. If they have too much money in their reserve, if they've charged too much, they need to pay that back. They need to have some reserve, of course, but they need to only have a certain amount. So during COVID, there was less traffic, fewer accidents, so they paid back a whole bunch of money. Over a couple, I think it happened twice at least that I know of. So AutoPack is vehicle insurance that compensates you for your vehicle's damage and your injuries, and compensates others rather than you having to pay them yourself, right? That's why you get pulled over if you're out of insurance, right? I just want to tell you, sometimes we just think of a car accident. It's just you have your car crashed and now it needs to be repaired, and that's it. But my wife was in a car crash, and with our little one, it was like 6 months or whatever in the back, right? And they both had injuries that required months and months of physiotherapy, which is expensive. It was all covered, right? So it's not just what happens like to the vehicles, it's what happens to you. You might actually swerve and smash the window of a 7-Eleven store. That also gets covered. That's called third-party liability, right? So, you know, you knock down a traffic light, right? That is also covered. Like, so AutoPack covers all of that. So sometimes we don't think of that. So in other provinces such as Alberta, vehicle insurance is distributed through private companies, right? Alberta has private companies offering insurance. Here, not yet. I think it's coming, but not yet. So the prices are not non-negotiable. You can't go find a better rate out there. Okay, AutoPack coverage. Many options. The main type of AutoPack coverage is basic AutoPack coverage, obviously. It consists of basic all perils coverage, so right, personal injury protection, and basic third-party liability. Those are the three things that I think you should make sure you understand, right? So all perils is just covers everything that would, in terms of physical damage, it would cover that. And then personal injury, it covers that. And there's a third-party liability. That's when you knock down something other than a car. You drive into a store, or let's say you actually cause a truck to flip over and all the goods that they were transporting get damaged. Sometimes it's thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. That's third-party liability, right? It's not necessarily just the cars, is all other stuff, okay? So what does it cover? What do these three things cover? Here they are. All perils coverage compensates Manitobans against accidental loss or damage to their vehicles, and it occurs in Canada or the US. Personal injury protection compensates Manitoba for specific costs that they may have sustained from injuries, right? Specific costs related to injuries or death, right? Does not matter who's at fault or whether the accident occurred in Canada or the United States. Basic third-party liability. Watch this. It provides up to 10 grand of coverage for claims made against them. So when you cause loss to the company, they will probably charge you for it, right? Or sue you for it if you're not willing to pay. But if you have insurance, that's not an issue, right? They will just cover it up to $10 million, right? These claims can be for damage to their vehicle, or cost to someone else's vehicle, or to another individual in an accident outside of Manitoba. Important to note that the minimum coverage is $200,000, right? But you can get an optional $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $7 million, or $10 million coverage for that. And I'm just going to tell you this. Don't just stick with the basic $200,000. It doesn't cost much. It's like $10, $20 more a year to go up to 1 million or 2 million, right? Like, make sure you have enough coverage should anything happen. So the basic is 200,000, but I think that's a bit low because it can go up very quickly. So go 1 or 2 million or 5 million. You can ask them on the spot, what's the difference? They go on their computer. Let's see, let's add 5 million. It's going to be $40 more a year. $40 more a year, go for it, right? So don't be scared to up your third-party liability because they are going to ask you that. Let's keep going. There's always 1 or 2 insurance questions on the test. So in addition to basic coverage, there's also optional coverage, right? So you can increase, that's an option, increase third-party liability, or you can reduce your deductible, right? And I'm going to use a different color for deductible because students seem to have a hard time grasping it, and it's probably because you never deal with it. You don't deal with deductible. So I'm going to try my best to make this. Your deductible is the amount you're responsible for paying for an auto pack claim, right? Auto pack insurance covers the amount over your deductible. I think something is missing here. It's when you're at fault. So I will make that note here. At fault claims, right? When you make a claim, like when you're making a claim, hey, I had a car crash and it's determined you're at fault, you have to pay the deductible. Okay? So it's the amount you pay when you make a claim, basically. An auto pack claim is completed when you get into an accident, there's damage done to your vehicle, or your vehicle is stolen. Okay? To make an AutoPack claim, you need to report all of the relevant information about the incident to AutoPack. After assessing the damage, AutoPack will tell you how much you are covered for and how much you need to pay out of pocket. How much you need to pay is generally the amount of your deductible, right? How much you need to pay is generally the amount of your deductible. And this is coming back, but I'm just letting you know. I'm going to pause here for a bit. If you ever get into a car accident, right? Like somebody dings you or you ding somebody else, right? you should always pull over, right? Pull over, turn on your signals, right? Your four-way flashers, and then you go and what should you be doing, if at all possible? Nowadays we have phones, right? So take a picture of license plate, right? The person you had an accident with, take a picture of the license plate. You should exchange information with that other driver. It's like name. Um, I would caution, don't give them your address. They don't need to know that. I'm gonna pause here because I don't necessarily want this. I tell you that because when it happens, you kind of panic, right? So you need to kind of know the basics, gather information, but don't give away too much because you don't want them to necessarily know where you live. That's not their business, right? Okay, let's keep going. Uh, Paying for auto pack. This is important. I will actually use a totally different color. Um, I will add this. Can you add this to your notes? Things. Um, I will make it. It doesn't sound very professional, but things that affect your premium. That's what we call the insurance. It's a premium you pay. But these are the things that are mostly going to affect your premium for auto pack. Okay, so it's where you live, right? What you use the vehicle for, the actual vehicle, of course, and your driving record. Let me just, I will go to the, I just need to know what's on the back side if I'm going to make that. Yeah. Where you live, you know what? I don't need you to know that, but there's 4 territories in Manitoba for auto pack. So if you live in any one of these territories, your premium will change. Generally, the further up north you go, the cheaper your insurance. Why would that be? It has to do with likelihood, probability, right? The further up north, fewer cars, less likelihood of you getting into a car crash. So that's basically what they do. So where you live, what you use it for. I will do this. All purpose, leisure, or pleasure. And is it layup? Yeah, it's storage, but I think they call it layup. I just updated this thing, that's why I need to layup. It is. That's called. It's basically what you do when you store something. Sorry about that, guys. Layup, which is for storage purposes. So if you're not planning on using your car, let's say you go overseas, you travel for a month or two, you don't want to be paying full price if you're not going to be using it. So you can go to Autopacks like I would like to put my car on layup, and it says a minimal amount. It's like $50 for a year or something, or maybe more. I might be off. Don't quote me on that. But you cannot leave it in the street. That's the one thing I learned. They'll tell you it can only be on private property. It can be on a driveway. It can be on a property, but it cannot be on the street. So make note of that. Your vehicle, obviously, if it's a sports car, 2-door, your insurance is going to be more, right? The color factors in. It goes by how likely is that car to be stolen. Like how easy is it for them to steal it? So the vehicle, when you type that in, it will affect your premium. Andrew, your driving record, you know this one, right? If so, merits versus demerits. Do you know about that? I think most of you probably have a driver's or you've heard of merits versus demerits. And this is probably the one that affects your insurance significantly. Like I have the maximum merits you can possibly get, and so I get a 33% discount on my insurance. So if it's $1,000, they shave off 300, right? 333 to be specific, right? So you save quite a bit of money the more merits you accumulate, right? And the merits is obviously you're going in the minuses, so you'll be paying more, right? So watch out for that. So these are the four main factors that will affect your insurance. This is important, right? So I'll put a little, you know what, on your study sheet, if you want to know what affects your premium, right here. I will box this in. That's how important that is. This could even come back on the exam and be asked of you, like how can you, and I don't know why, but some students say larger down payment. I'm like, insurance? Down payment has nothing to do with insurance, so don't say that, right? It's these four that are going to get you a mark. Okay, these four are, and if they ask you to explain, which one do you think is going to be cheaper, all-purpose or leisure? Maybe you don't know the difference, but all-purpose is obviously you can use it for anything you want. Leisure, you actually have a limit number of kilometers you can drive. You can only drive it if you have like a sports, like a classic car, you only want to take it for a spin on a Sunday, but you cannot use it to go to work on a regular basis. Okay, you cannot use it for that. It's a little bit cheaper than all-purpose. Some people want to save money. Don't do it because they will find out. If they see something is sketchy, they will find out, and then you might not be covered, right? So just go for all-purpose. But this will be cheaper, and this is the cheapest, right? Layup. All right. Let's keep going. See how I have all four of them are like on page 78 continues. They break it down even more. So if you want to read more, there it is. So there's the all-purpose, the pleasure, the layup, and it explains a bit more in detail, right? What's happening there. And then number 3 would be your vehicle, and it talks about what affects mainly contributes to your vehicle being either more expensive to insure or less expensive. And your driving record, it explains the merit points and the demerits, right? Every year you drive without a claim, you get a merit, right? Goes up. What is it, 15? Something like that? I don't know. I forgot. Negative merits are called demerits, right? Also important, if you get into a car crash, if you're not at fault, you're not going to lose merits, right? It's only if you're at fault that you lose a merit. And maybe 2 or 3, depends on what you did. Don't get caught speeding, right? I had a friend, he went like 150 or 160 on a perimeter, and he lost, I don't know, like he paid thousands of dollars every year for his drivers for a couple of years until you build your merits up again. So that's it. 79. I'm just gonna scan a little bit here. Let's go to 80, page 80. I'm just gonna talk a little bit more about it, and then I'll call it a day, okay? Suppose you're at your nearest Autopack agent, right? You're at a store. State 2 ways you can reduce your insurance premium, okay? I will tell you one way is change insurance type to leisure instead of all-purpose. That could be one way, or you can say layup, because it doesn't specify how much you can drive, right? In this case, increase your deductible. And I feel like I kind of jumped too much here, but I'll explain deductible a little bit more. So I will go example, $300 instead of $200. That's what it's in your control that you can do. If it says what are some things that are affected, you can state one of the four we just covered. Okay, I will explain deductible a little bit more, but it's so important to me that I will do this to it. We will talk a little bit more about deductible in a bit, which will result in a higher insurance premium, a $500 deductible or a $200 deductible, right? It says $500 or $200 deductible. Explain. Okay, so a $200 deductible will be more expensive. You are more likely to make a claim, comma, if your deductible is low. And let that sink in for a minute. Remember, the deductible is how much you pay when you make a claim, right? So if you have a lower deductible, you would only pay $200 if you make a claim. Versus if you had a $500 deductible, you would pay $500 when you make a claim. So a lower deductible, right? If you have a lower deductible, you're more likely to make a claim. So I'll give you an example. If I have a $500 deductible and I drive around and I kind of just bump into my my buddy's fence post, it's like back up. It's like, oh, you go out and you're like, this is probably going to cost me, a couple $100. If you have a $500 deductible, you're probably going to say, you know what, I'm just going to repair it myself. I'm just going to find a shop and I'll just pay for it. I don't want to go through the claim process. But if you have a $200 deductible, you're like, wait a minute, it's only going to cost me $200, and then AutoPack will take care of the rest. Okay, so you're more likely to make a claim if your deductible is lower. And here is a chart this is brand new, with the whole Uber and all those, what do they call it? The car riding services or whatever. Uber, what else is out there? I forget the names, but basically like a taxi, except for it's a individual person, right? But here are your deductible choices, deductible options. And these are your choices, right? 500. You can, right now, there's a 750, a 500, a 300, a 200 standard, and a $200 plus. Those are your deductibles. They brought that in when those services came in, right? And so it tells you, like, if you have a collision, watch this. Collision is just, right, a car crash. If you have a 750 deductible, you would pay 750. You would pay 500, 300, 200, 200. So your deductible is basically what you pay. But watch this. Second row here, you see that? Theft or attempted theft of a vehicle? You would pay your deductible for all of them except for where would you not pay? The 200 standard or the 200 plus, you would pay nothing. If somebody tries to break into your car, they smash a window, they try to prop open your door, you name it, you're not going to have to pay anything if you have a $200 deductible, either the standard or the plus, right? So it's kind of, that's also why it's more expensive to go 200. Okay. You still pay all your deductibles except for, watch this, glass repair. Watch this row right here, follow it. And it's nothing when you have a $200 plus insurance, or deductible, I should say. Collision with an animal right there. With these, a 300, a 200 standard, and a 200 plus, you pay nothing if you hit a deer, right? Which is big for me because I go out a lot. I like hunting and fishing. I'm always on those highways, right? And there's been time where it's been very close, right? So I wouldn't have to pay anything, right? Vandalism. Somebody, maybe teachers, we should definitely have our 200 plus, right? If somebody keys your car or something because they don't like you, right? Under the 200 plus, you wouldn't pay anything, right? So it's kind of, there are some benefits of going 200 plus or 200 standard, but these are more expensive, right? Can we do this in our chart here? Costs more, right? If you go left of this chart, costs less. So the further right you go, the more expensive your insurance is going to be. The further left, the cheaper it's going to be. Okay? And then I have all the definitions of what a theft or attempted theft would be. If you look underneath, maybe if you don't mind, this is the best deal probably because it covers so much. Right? You pay very few times where you actually have to pay your deductible. So if there's a fire, right? A fire, partial theft, I don't know how that works. Or hail, right? You would still pay your deductible. But if it's vandalism, collision with an animal, glass repair, and theft or attempted theft. Glass repair, you know these little huts on parking lots in the summer? They repair chips or cracks in your windows. That's free. If you have a 200 plus, they look at your driver's license and it's all free. You don't pay a dime, right? So that's included. So there are some benefits of it, but it costs a little bit more if you do your insurance that way. That's it for insurance, guys. So I will box in the deductible part here. And whatever you boxed in earlier already. Okay. So deductible is important for me, it's important that you know that, right? And in a nutshell, is what you pay when you make a claim. That's what you pay when you make a claim. So keep that in mind.